Hello, my name is Kelsey Zuniga, and today I will be presenting the article titled The Dependence on Carbohydrate Fueling for Successful High-Intensity Endurance Performance by Leckie and Hawley, 2018. This article examines the role of carbohydrates as a macronutrient in endurance exercise, primarily at high intensities. The main takeaway from this article is that despite the growing popularity of high-fat or ketogenic diets, carbohydrates remain the primary fuel source for high-intensity endurance performances. For example, when exercises reach 80% of VO2 max, carbohydrates contribute to 80% of total energy expenditure, and this is in the form of muscle glycogen or blood glucose. The body stores about 500 grams of carbohydrates in the form of muscle glycogen and liver glycogen, and this can sustain about 90 minutes of high-intensity exercise until depletion contributes to fatigue. And while endurance training increases mitochondria density, enhances fat oxidation, and expands glycogen storage capacities, carbohydrates remain the dominant fuel source for moderate to high intensities. Even with adaptations, athletes who compete at 65 to 80% of VO2 max, carbohydrate dependence remains high. This article also looks at high-fat and ketogenic diets, and while these diets definitely increase fat oxidation and lower the respiratory exchange ratio, they also reduce the body's ability to efficiently use carbohydrates. And one of the key reasons for this is the decrease in pyruvate dehydrogenase, or PDH. This is an enzyme which is needed for carbohydrate oxidation. And even after carbohydrate storages are restored, PDH can still remain suppressed. And this will limit how well the body utilizes carbohydrates during high-intensity exercises. Research on elite race walkers showed that even though fat oxidation increased during low carbohydrate and high fat diets, exercise economy actually worsened and race performance didn't improve. So just because the body burns more fat doesn't mean you will perform better. This article also discusses exogenous ketone supplementation, and some studies show small improvements in cycling performances and lower lactate levels after ketone ester ingestion, but the results are inconsistent. Other research actually showed that there were impaired time trials in performances and gastrointestinal discomfort. And overall, the evidence just doesn't support ketones as a reliable strategy to improve high-intensity endurance performance. Current sport nutrition guidelines focus on periodizing carbohydrates based on training demands. And so athletes might complete certain sessions with lower carbohydrate storages to promote adaptations, but carbohydrate intake before and during a competition is still essential for sustaining high intensity efforts and optimizing performance. From a practical standpoint, this article really highlights that fueling strategies need to match the intensities and goals of the session or competition. For example, if an endurance athlete is competing in high intensities, they need an adequate carbohydrate before and during the event to maintain glycogen storages and sustain power outputs. As professionals, it is also important to help athletes understand that just because fat oxidation increases doesn't mean that their performance will increase as well, especially in events that demand a high intensity effort. Overall, this article makes it clear that carbohydrate availability is essential for successful high intensity endurance performances. And while high fat and ketone diet or supplements may change metabolisms, they don't consistently lead to better results. The most evidence-based approach is to periodize carbohydrates based on the training demands and prioritize carbohydrate availability when performance truly matters. Thank you.